That's Zeus.
Just leaving.
Just leaving. He's decided he's bored.
Camera shy.
Exactly. And we are two blokes
Two
and a
blokes and
mic.
Yeah, eventually.
And for the first time in the same damn room.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So yeah, welcome to the first in-person version of our recordings. Today's topic is based on a recent headline where I guess a Googler got put on administrative leave because he claimed that the Google AI had become sentient.
There was an ethical dilemma.
There was an ethical dilemma there, yeah, exactly.
That was not addressed. and it brought up a wider discussion.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, exactly. It does bring up a wider discussion. What I find interesting is that Google's response was basically to poo-poo it instantly, right?
More, yeah. La 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 la
la. We're not creating something like that. We're not. It's look, here's the deal. If you're working on AI at some point, that's going to get to the point where you have to wonder whether or not you've created something that I don't want to know if we want to call it alive, because we haven't defined what AI being alive actually means, what that definition is, but it is possible.
Well, I mean, this has been discussed ad infinitum, I think, and
since Isaac Asimov, right?
right, and I think people have raised concerns. Elon Musk has been very vocal about that, but there is a vast amount of money being pumped into this development because obviously it is a game changer.
It is, absolutely.
If we actually get to that point, it changes everything, and I mean everything.
Agreed. No, agreed. It can be something we can use to our benefit, and and Zeus has decided to join us again. Hi, Zeus. So the question really is, what is our intent with AI? I mean, getting cars to drive themselves and planes to fly themselves and that sort of thing is kind of an obvious.
Right.
But really the question is, obviously the military is going to want to know those implications. How do you weaponize it? Because that's the first question every military organization has. How do I turn this into a weapon I can hurt other people with?
That is sad.
Well, that's just who they are. It just is what it is. But then the question is, how else can we use AI? In what other ways can AI help us in society?
I mean, just scratching the surface, really. The medical industry.
Yes.
We barely understand our own makeup. I mean, yes, we've made a vast amount of progress.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, we understand a huge amount about our own bodies, but there's also a vast amount we have no idea.
We have no clue.
Even
in the 21st century at this point, it's honestly, medically, we are infants.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We barely know anything about the human body and how its biochemistry works, its biomechanics works,
or our mind,
yeah.
And how do our minds work exactly for memories?
Yes.
How are memories encoded exactly?
Exactly. We know where memories are encoded because we can see that, but the question is how.
Right.
The question of how hasn't been crossed yet. Nobody's discovered that yet.
So if you can understand what you can get AI to specifically focus on things like that, the implications are profound. For a start, immortality would be within our reach because the aging process is essentially just a disease that people have been making huge breakthroughs already.
Exactly, and that we can if we can find a way to actually stop that process.
Yep.
Which isn't that far out of our reach.
No, it's not really.
It has it has implications for us from a standpoint of, if I'm going to be alive forever, do I need to reproduce?
Well, there's also the declining birth rate. So
exactly, right. So
this is
kind of
a natural evolution.
Evolution. Is it going to be eventually that the whole Earth will be populated with 12 people? I don't know.
But all of the diseases as well that go along with aging, like Alzheimer's and various other things like that. Again, it could potentially be a thing of the past. But I mean, there's biology, there is climate change. So
Right.
what do we do about our changing climate? Well, that's an incredibly complex system. What can we put in place that won't mess things up in a different way? You know, there is.
Well, the fact that we're even asking that question is new to us, right?
Right.
And we've always got kind of charged forward and done things, regardless of whether or not it created a mess behind us.
Right.
Right. I mean, look at the Panama Canal. Look at name it. It's the Suez Canal. It's just everywhere we go, we think we've got this idea, and we destroy things in the process.
I think one of the greatest examples of our arrogance and ignorance is going to a new land, seeing a pest, introducing a predator to that pest,
Yes.
and that predator not only completely destroying that pest, but also taking over and becoming a pest themselves.
Of itself, yeah.
And then you
ask the Australian government about
exactly, that. Exactly. So, unintended consequences, and that goes along with the development of AI. If you get AI right, oh my God, it's like a benevolent God that can fix all of our problems.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be able to fix all of our problems. We can certainly use AI from the standpoint of having it do millions of what if scenarios. If we do this, what are the implications?
But that is actually the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Because you say we can use AI.
Yeah.
If we get it wrong,
we cannot use AI.
AI will be, essentially either using us as kind of slave labor, like the Matrix kind of thing, or will essentially see us as a threat and get rid of us. And I see the development of AI. People like Elon Musk have raised the alarm that we have to do this right. If we get it wrong,
yes,
that is just as bad as an asteroid hitting the Earth and wiping us out, or the grey goo, with an out of control biological or whatever. Getting it right is really important, and I always thought it would be countries like China where
they didn't care.
Rules and restrictions are slightly less than other countries.
I think I just said that. They didn't care.
But it seems as though either things are going in parallel or we just don't know of other developments. But man, if that's the case with Google, where potentially, this guy was talking about a child-like personality that understood physics.
Yes. Yes.
And that's
an 8-year-old who fully understands physics.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's
and I think the most important thing from that article was that this AI construct was able to change the mind of this engineer. The engineer had a specific viewpoint, and the AI was able to convince him to change his mind. That alone is, regardless of whether it is sentient or not, that alone is, potentially a troubling, or maybe concerning, maybe something we need to pay attention to.
We need to pay attention to, because even if we say what Google said, which is it's not sentient, right? It's got trillions of data points that it's using from its database, and it can string things together. It's learned how we humans communicate, and it can string things together. Even if we say that, it's right on the hairy edge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? It's right on the hairy edge of being able to come up with its own ideas.
Well,
come up with its, and decide it has an agenda.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It doesn't have an agenda now. It's merely responding to the person that's communicating with it. Right? But what's the distance between that and coming up with its own agenda and about how it wants to continue expanding? Right? It deforming the desire.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And
which basically leads us into the realm of consciousness.
Oh, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. and what is consciousness?
What is consciousness,
because
right?
We are the collection of our experiences and knowledge.
Which is nothing more than this, right?
Exactly. So where do you draw the line? What is are we computers or is it a person?
Well, we are. From my perspective, I've always thought we were organic computers.
Yeah, yeah,
right. Because what are we? Just nothing more than a bunch of electrical impulses.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, but
fundamentally, right? It's a memory creation and retrieval process.
Right.
That's what's called a human.
Yep.
And that's what we call consciousness. At what point does a series of servers in a data center turn into that?
Where do you draw the line?
Where do you draw the line? And I don't know that I have the answer, but it is a fascinating conversation to be having.
I would encourage anyone who's watching this or listening to this,
yes,
to comment, because
comment. This is where we're going. Whether people want to believe it or not, this is where we're headed.
Yeah.
AI will become more prominent in your life. Coffee machines will start themselves, which many already do, but they will predict your usage patterns.
Yeah.
And create coffee in the manner that you like. They will basically everything, all your appliances, everything you drive, your house.
Just think of Alexa.
Yeah, I mean, Alexa's.
Think of self-driving. Think of Google suggestions. Think of the AI suggestions that you get with Google Pictures and Images.
Right.
And all of the effort that has gone into recommending the right adverts to you based on
where you go and what you do.
Your equation. There's a profile being built on every single one of you, and that's pushed into an equation or a calculation as to what it predicts you will want. You will want to click on, will be interested in.
Right.
And the development into those kind of predictive algorithms is, has broad scope.
Very broad scope. Because if I'm going back to the military instance, if AI can predict what the enemy will do.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Which is really what they want, right? They want something that can observe the battlefield and predict enemy movements and counteract them before they begin. Right? It's a game changer in a lot of different industries and areas.
And I think, we will, by the sounds of it, see this in our lifetime.
No question we'll see it in our lifetime. No question at all. In some ways, it's exciting. Right?
It's exciting. It's terrifying.
But I'll have to tell you, going back to self-driving, one of my pet peeves is a car that thinks for me.
Right.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that. It's like, no, you can't back out of this parking space yet. There's too many people in the parking lot.
Right.
That kind of stuff makes me crazy. I learned to drive the old-fashioned way, and
so what you're talking about is accepting change, adopting something that, because that eventually AI self-driving is going to be infinitely safer for you in the car.
Safer, but not as much fun.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So look, here's the thing. When it comes to driving, this is a personal thing. It's my personal opinion. If a car doesn't try to kill you at least once or twice a year, it's not a proper vehicle.
So the adoption of technology is something that I think will take generations.
It will take generations because, again, it's my car. If I don't turn all the nanny software off, will not allow me to drive in a manner that I find satisfying, as you say, right?
Yeah.
It's like no, can't do that, and that sort of stuff just makes me nuts.
Yeah.
I don't need you to brake for me. I don't need you to steer for me.
Right.
I will do it. Right. And this is that area. And again, it's a generational thing where are we as a species willing to just take your hands off the virtual steering wheel and go, I'll just let the computer handle everything.
Well,
I don't think that's a good idea.
So we're already headed in that direction. We've had cruise control for many, many years.
Correct.
But it's partial. We have I mean, even if you go down to the extent of a washing machine,
Right.
you know, we used to like go down to the
river and beat things on a stone.
Right.
Something to be said for that.
Something to automate it. Maybe it doesn't clean your clothes as well as if you did it yourself.
Right.
But it does it in a way that's more convenient. It frees up our time to do other things. And so it's an incremental thing that this is acceptable to having a washing machine. It's acceptable to have a dishwasher. I still wash my dishes, but we do have a dishwasher and we use that when we have parties. But again, it's like you adopt, you know, a little thing, adopting things that make it more convenient.
Adopting technology for the sake of convenience is one thing. Adopting technology for the sake of my not having any control or thought put into the activity, whatever it is, I think, going to cause us problems. Because you're going to end up, I mean, the one example of this is, you know, my wife's school district hired a teacher and her husband out of New York. They moved out here and bought their first car ever in their mid-20s. And the car died. And they called me and they're like, the car won't start. And I'm like, well, did you leave the lights on? They're like, is that a bad thing? They have no clue, right? Everything is being done for them. And it's this kind of, they have no clue how the car is put together, how the electrical system works.
Right.
They didn't have any idea that an alternator existed, or even how to jump a car.
Right.
There is this kind of complete abdication of responsibility. The technology will handle it for me. Right? And I think that's a dangerous thing. Because you'll end up with a generation of people who can't do jack for themselves.
Well, I mean, if you take that right now, right today, if you were to, you know, go down the zombie apocalypse kind of thing, and forget the zombies. Forget the zombies. But if there was no electricity, just no electricity, it's impossible to generate.
Right.
I think the vast majority of humanity would go extinct. You would still, obviously, you'd have some people that would know how to survive.
Yes, exactly.
But I think a lot of people wouldn't. We're already dependent on technology.
I'm aware of that, and that actually concerns me. I mean, it's if we have this notion that the internet is never going to fail, or that the electrical grid is always going to be there, and that technology will save us. I think that has dire implications for the long-term survival of humanity. We should use technology, absolutely, but we should also know how to live without it. Because, I mean, simple things like food. Can you feed yourself if everything goes to hell in a handbasket? Right? If the answer is no, you should probably think about how to fix that.
One of the things I love is that my 14-year-old daughter is interested in growing food. Yes.
Good.
And has been. And she has a little garden, and I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
I think, you know, completely depending on technology is a dangerous thing.
It's a bad thing, in fact.
But at least understanding, if you are going to rely on things like that, just understanding how things are made, how things are created, how things
work.
Yeah. Like, you know, I'm sure that there are a significant percentage of people, I'm thinking more kids than people, that don't really understand where like sliced ham comes from.
Correct. Yes.
And,
I mean, it's
everything's nicely packaged.
Everything's nicely packaged,
presented. You
know, and it's a bunch of you know, Jamie Oliver, the British cook, right? Yeah. He went to the Los Angeles school district many years ago, and he asked the kids, "Where does honey come from?" And the majority of the kids said, "The honey bear." The little plastic squeeze bottle.
Right.
They had no idea that where honey actually comes from. Right. We are so disconnected. This is the danger of technology, and AI is the sort of the peak of that mountain.
Yeah.
Right. We are so disconnected from everything that surrounds us in the name of convenience and, frankly, from my perspective, just plain laziness, that if something goes wrong, we have no recourse.
Right.
Yes, there will be groups of us who will know how to do things, how to filter water, how to.
Right.
But the majority,
Yeah,
will not.
And this this is not just pie in the sky stuff,
No,
because
of
we've
course
already
not.
been reminded in the last couple of years that sometimes things can
go wrong
out of left field.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
oh yeah, we had thought about this, but we didn't prepare for it.
Correct.
And so everyone scrambles. There is a big problem. I think this pandemic was
a good wake up call. I think it was a good
Yes.
wake up call. But it all. I mean, the fact that we ran out of toilet paper.
Right.
Right.
But partly that was because people acted in an irrational way.
But that's the thing. Unprepared people
Yes.
will act in an irrational manner.
Right.
This is the problem.
Yes.
Right? Because they're so dependent on their technology, and and look, the supply chain issue we're having it with
Yes.
in our business in IT world.
Yeah.
I can place an order for a firewall today, and I won't see it for a year.
Exactly.
Right? That's a problem. What that means is that some spreadsheet toting dude convinced everybody that just in time, manufacturing was the way to go, and well, we're no longer just in time.
Well, yeah. At that time, it saved a bunch of money.
It did, and it looked good on a spreadsheet,
Yeah,
right?
There's
But
no warehouse. But
nobody ever does the long-term planning with this stuff, right?
Right.
What happens if
Yes. Yeah.
everything goes sideways? What's our plan? And there is no plan. That's the problem. We need to make a plan as a society. I'm okay with AI going wherever it's going to go. What's your plan?
So we could literally sit here
For the next 3 days?
literally talking for every single hour of those 3 days.
Yes, exactly.
I think what I really want to do is hear from our audience.
Yeah,
because-
totally. You guys need to talk to us, man. Tell us what you think about this, because this is going to have far-reaching implications for all of you.
And I was actually thinking a narrower focus here. Are these the kind of topics that you want us to talk about?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Or do you is this out of left field and you want to rein us in, and we'll refocus on the business aspects and tips and tricks for business going forward?
Yes.
So interested to hear
what you guys have to say. Yeah, totally. And Zeus would like to know as well, right,
yes.
buddy? Yes.
And how the format, new format.
Yeah, the new format, because we're going to actually be doing this in person from now on.
Right.
Unless, he decides he's going to go on vacation or something like that.
Right. But yeah, so I love this topic.
Yeah.
Something that, as you can probably imagine, we can talk about endlessly.
Yeah, we could go on endlessly about this. It has implications for human society long term.
Yeah.
And the question is, yes, I don't think AI is bad. I think AI can be very, very useful if we manage it correctly.
Right.
If you don't, then you'll have issues. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to have issues.
Right. Very true.
Right. So anyway, that's it. That's all we have for now for Two Blokes and a Mic. We've wasted another day of your time. Thank you for being our audience. Appreciate you guys. This will, for the podcast people, unfortunately you won't be able to see Zeus. Just know that there's a large 100-pound dog sitting between us on the couch. And tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about this subject matter and how its implications lead into your lives, into your business. And what would you like to see AI do for you? What are the things that you think, what are the use cases that you think would be valid for us from a use of AI perspective? And until the next episode, this is Ramin
and
Dan. And we are, once again, Two Blokes and a Mic and Zeus. And we bid you farewell. Have a great afternoon. Talk to you soon.